Just want to get settled. Folks, we're going to get started. It's our start time. Thank you for coming out tonight. Folks, thank you for coming out tonight. It's very, very encouraging to see so many people come out. Typically, we have meetings that are a little bit lonely, but there's a lot of people here tonight, which that shows me democracy's working. People are coming out and saying what they need to say. But let me just kind of go first to the agenda. We have a couple things, business items. So let me do my welcome first, my official welcome. Welcome to Town of Mount Pleasant Planning Board meeting, regularly scheduled December 4th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. First up is just administrative business item, acceptance of minutes drafted from the 11/17/2025 Planning Board meeting. That was our meeting on 11/17. The board has reviewed the minutes, and the board will make a decision whether or not the minutes are complete.
I make a motion that we adopt the minutes of the 11/17 meeting.
Motion by Eileen,
Second.
second by Walt. Walt?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And Eileen?
Aye.
And an aye for me. Next up, 715 Sleepy Hollow Road. Accept as complete SEQR final environmental impact statement, FEIS, for the proposed subdivision of a 36.82 acre residential lot into 31 single-family residential lots, roughly 1 acre in size. Cluster subdivisions proposed to conserve green space and reduce disturbance. So what this means, this has not, I'll be very clear, this has not been approved yet by this planning board. I know there has been a perception out there that was directed by the applicant that it was approved. It has not been approved. Until this board approves it, it has not been approved. I want to be very clear on that. I'd like to make sure you guys understand we are not going to be having that miscommunication out there. And it's not you guys, it's the applicants spread that misinformation. So, I can be louder myself. I'll tell you a funny joke. My predecessor, the planning board chairman, you may have known him, he was very loud. And I thought it could be just like him, but I just can't project as loud. But I'll do my best.
You just did a great job, Trevor.
All right. So, okay. So is the applicant here?
Excuse me, do you want me to recuse myself?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Jane, say that louder so.
I'm going to recuse myself from this application.
Can I have the applicant come up? Mr. Zappi. Could you just state your name for the record?
James Zappi.
Okay. Okay, so we have this miscommunication that happened today, which we just want to clear that up. What was posted and where was it posted? Do you know?
I don't know. Ryan, do you know?
Hi, Mr. Zappi.
Ryan Zappi.
Yeah.
It was the notice for acceptance, not that it had been accepted. It was the notice
What's the difference?
well, one is noticing the public that it's going to be reviewed to be accepted versus having been accepted.
Did it state that it was accepted?
No, to the best of my knowledge, it didn't.
Mr. Chairman, I can clarify.
Okay, I'm going Pat. Okay, one thing I'm going to insist on, and I always insist on, one person talks. We will not have people shouting from the back. Everybody will have a due process. We're going through a process right now. Please do not shout, or I'm going to have to ask people to not shout or potentially leave. We have to have good process here.
So, Mr. Chairman, I can clarify that. So, the applicant posted in the environmental notice bulletin, which is the DEC official site of where notices are published dealing with seeker actions. And the notice was that it was a notice of acceptance of an FEIS. There is no notice requirement of thinking about acceptance of an EIS. It's a form, and it is filled out to say you're accepting a DEIS, an FEIS, or whatever it is. So the document that was posted on the ENB was the acceptance of the FEIS. It was posted in error. That was sent by the applicant. It was premature. So we're going to unpost that notice.
Well, yeah, I want a retraction.
A retraction.
We have to have a retraction because we can't have this misperception, miscommunication, because people are here tonight because of that misperception, miscommunication. So I want a retraction. You can work with Pat and Carol, but we have to have a retraction of what you posted. They will work with you on what to say and how to say it, but we cannot have this board undermined and have this communication go out without it going through staff. Understood? Okay. So with that being said, we do not have a quorum tonight, and we're not going to take action on this application tonight. Okay? And I'm sorry, folks, if you came out tonight, but this is where we are going to be at this point.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Hey, hey, please leave. Please leave. All right, let me just get over the interjection here. And it's just very disrespectful. We're doing a job up here, and the shouting, sir, you just need to leave, please. Okay, now, there's some hands, but let's address those in an orderly fashion. So what's going to happen, he's going to issue this retraction. And that'll clear up that misperception, right? Then, Pat, help me out here. Then, at some point,
You'll consider whether the FEIS is complete or not, and you would then accept it, then it would get noticed in the public, in the ENB, and it has been your policy to have public hearings on the FEIS.
right. So that's the important distinction to make. It has typically been our policy. I'm one member of the board. There's many members of the board, but typically our history has always been, once we decide that this is complete, and all that basically means is that they completed everything. Let me just give you the history on this. For the last 2 years, roughly 2 years, they've been responding to all the comments that came out. There's like 2,000 pages. This board gave a bunch of comments as well to them, things we thought needed to be cleared up. So the staff went through it, checked everything, checked the I's and the T's. I's were dotted, T's were crossed. Those were all done. We reviewed them as well. And then the whole the natural step in that process would have been for us to say, we've reviewed all this stuff. It's complete and ready for the public to review. And we would typically, if the board decides, release it to the public to review and then have a public hearing scheduled in due time to allow the public enough time to review it and to, respond to it. So does that answer a bunch of the questions? A couple more.
To have the public comment on a document that's been accepted as complete doesn't leave the board with a lot of procedural options of where to go from there. So our request would be that the board release the document, which is a public record, allow the public to comment on it before the board accepts it as complete. So if the public says something that the board agrees with in terms of its incompleteness, the applicant could address that before the board accepts it as complete.
So there's a little bit of correction there. What the board does is release it to the public. If there's enough information that comes that is substantive enough, we can do a supplemental, what's it called, Pat?
Supplemental, yes.
Supplemental EIS.
This is a way to avoid that.
Understood.
It's very contested, the supplemental EIS decision.
Okay. 2 more questions. Yes.
Chairman Collins, just procedurally, if the notice that goes out can be checked before it goes out, the agendas, rather, can be checked before they go out. A lot of people showed up tonight and were surprised by this being on the agenda, and that's why a lot of people showed up.
It wasn't, just to be clear, it was not the staff doing anything wrong. It was not the staff doing anything wrong. The applicant made a decision himself to post this on some environmental board, which resulted in all this confusion. Yes.
Can you explain the timetable for these next steps and when you envision there would be a public hearing?
Typically, well, right now, we're not doing anything before the end of the year, number one. So he has to go through the right steps and get everything done in terms of the document and us reviewing it, which I think that's pretty much done. And then Pat, help me out here. What's the next natural step?
It would be, again, put it on your agenda to accept
All
as
right,
complete.
it gets put on the agenda, then we do,
So that would be the administrative step. The public hearing would then follow that.
right.
What would be the timing of all of that roughly?
January, February, in the January to February timeframe. And yeah, so once we accept it as complete, it's released to the public. The board typically will release it to the public, and then the public hearing will come right after that. So you have time to comment on it, or you have in written form or orally.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to know the rationale for
which is why we have the supplemental EIS process.
Why not do it before and not have to do it after? In other words, if we see something before, it's like avoiding an accident before it happens. Get the input from the public and from before a decision is made, so that you can make a very well-informed decision with maybe there's some intricate things that have been missed. And I would just think that it would save everybody's time, especially your own, if you would allow the public to see the document prior to making or bringing it up for a procedural decision to approve it. That's my comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, one more, because we have nothing really else to do. We can't vote on this, and the applicant's not here anymore, so one more.
As you can see, there's a lot of people here. Can we have some time for us even to talk about the project, what we feel, and then
Not tonight, no. And here's why. First of all, the applicant's no longer here, right? So that's number one. Number two, we will have plenty of time for you to review. I'm telling you right now, once we get to the point where we say this is complete, there will be a public hearing if the board agrees with me, which I think they would. And there'll be plenty of times. It may not be one public hearing, it could be many. It depends on how long the board decides to leave it open. So there will be plenty of time for people to comment, and I want the comment. And I need the feedback, because you are more closely vested to the property than I am. That's it, folks. I'm not going to take any more questions.
There was a time limit on, if you accepted FEIS, I thought there was actually a time limit on the amount for public hearing. If you look at the secret process, I could be wrong, other people here are more familiar with it, but that's why
There-
it's almost a unanimous request
There's not.
for a supplemental deed.
There's not.
Is that true?
Not
That's,
for an FEIS. Not for an FEIS.
It is 30 or 45 days max.
Okay.
There's no required public hearing on an FEIS, so there's no time frame to set a public hearing when none is required. The board's doing it above and beyond the secret regulations and voluntarily.
Well, again, that kind of goes back to,
okay,
it's done.
so I'm not going to entertain more conversation, because we've got plenty of time to do it.
Can I just give you this?
Please do.
This is something that I read at.
And your name is?
My name's Wendy Masterman. I'm
Okay.
listening.
Yep.
This was what I read at one of the first meetings,
Okay.
and an engineer had reviewed the DEIS with several concerns. I want to know if they've been addressed.
Okay, thank you. All right, folks, we're going on to the next application. Carolyn, this is 11:06 now? Okay, okay, okay. That's why you put the red ink there. Thank you, thank you. Folks, I love having people come out, but we need to start the next one, so if you have, make an expedient exit. Okay, can I have the applicant for 15 Chestnut Place come on up in Pleasantville? Folks, we have another application. Can you just kind of keep it down? It would be very helpful to the next applicant that's out. I'm earning my paycheck today. All right.
It's a new public hearing.
Oh, thank you.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading of the public notice for the public hearing.
Motion from Jean,
Second.
second from Walt. Walt,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Eileen,
Aye.
and an aye from me. Okay, you're up for the public hearing, 15 Chestnut Place. Let me just do my official thing, if you don't mind. This is 15 Chestnut Place, Pleasantville, installation of retaining walls to make rear yard more usable for recreation and installation of a greenhouse. Application steep slopes SS 25-08, location 15 Chestnut Street, section block lot number is 106.13-3-80, zone R10. Owner and applicant is John Marsek, engineer Hillenbrand Engineering PLLC. You're up.
Hi, I'm John Marzek, the owner and applicant. Am I presenting to
So
you
you're
guys or the
actually,
public,
that's a
or-
good question. You're actually presenting to the public. We've actually seen it, so you can actually pivot if you want. If you just. And is there anybody here tonight for 15 Chestnut Place? Okay, I think not. So you could just speak to us. I don't think there's anybody here for 15 Chestnut Place. But let's go through the steps what you're going to do, what you're doing for the application, because we have to present it to the public who could be here without raising their hand, number one, and make sure we go through the process for TV Land. So just kind of quickly review what you're doing, what the plan is, and where we are today.
All right. Yeah, we're proposing the steep slope application to build some retaining walls on our property, basically to create some additional level space on the property to make it more more usable, and then we're planning on putting a greenhouse in as well. I don't know if you can see that well, but that's the overall plan there, where the retaining walls would be along the back edge of the property, which is the north side. It will be up to 6 feet tall. And then there's another retaining wall in the middle of the property and a couple of other retaining walls, but basically to just sort of level out the space.
Okay. And why are you building it? I know the answer, but just state
Yep.
it.
The slope right now is,
For more usable
unusually
space.
steep, yeah, so it provides more usable space, and we'd like to also put a greenhouse on one end of the property.
Okay. So any questions or comments from board members?
Was there any determination made about whether a variance was needed for the wall height with the fencing on top?
Yes, we thought there would be, and I went to the town, but it turned out that he said I could just put the
Oh, that's
the
right, you were
fence
gonna
like
have a
6 inches
separation.
back.
Yeah, yeah.
I
got
thought
it.
it needed to be
Sorry, I
like
forgot.
4 feet back, and
Right.
that's why we were going to go for the variance. But 6 inches, we'll just leave it.
Great, okay.
What's the size of your property?
It's about 0.42, 0.44.
Okay. So it's going to make more usable space, and we went through town staff, and everybody has checked off all the things that need to be checked off. From an engineering perspective, from a site perspective.
Engineer department side.
Yeah. Any final questions, comments from board members? Okay. Well, that's good. And let the record show there's no final comments from board members. Let me just do my official thing to see if anybody here, one more time, for public. Is anybody here, again, one more time, this is the time to speak if you are, for 15 Chestnut Place in Pleasantville? Anybody here for 15 Chestnut Place in Pleasantville? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Let the record show that no one's here for 15 Chestnut Place in Pleasantville. Okay, so we need to do a couple things. We need to close the public hearing, number one, and then we need to make a decision what we're going to do with the application, number 2. So first up is the public hearing. What do we want to do with the public hearing, fellow board members?
I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Motion from Eileen,
I second it.
second from Steve. Walt,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
and Eileen,
Aye.
and an aye from me. Okay, so that's done. The public hearing is now closed. What's next is, and this is just a steep slope, just one thing we're doing on the site. What is the pleasure of the board in terms of the site itself?
I move that we direct the preparation of an approval for the steep slope application.
Motion from Eileen,
Second.
second from Walt. Walt,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Eileen,
Aye.
and an aye from me. And that's it. Barbecue this summer?
Maybe late summer, early fall.
We gotta
Okay.
get a contractor first. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up is also a public hearing. 18 Halsey Place, accessory apartment transfer to new owner. They came before us 2 weeks ago. Application PAA 25-2, accessory apartment, location 18 Halsey Place, Valhalla. Section block lot number is 113.13-1-17, zone R40. owner 18 Halsey LLC, applicant Joseph Maselli, engineer architect Escaladas Associates.
Hello, how we doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Welcome back. Just for the
Thank you.
record, state who you are. I know who you are,
Joe
but
Maselli?
yep. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, this is another new public hearing. I will make a
Oh,
motion to waive the reading of the public.
This is why I
notice.
have friends on the board. So we have a motion from
It's a help.
Jane,
Second.
second from Eileen. Walter,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Eileen,
Aye.
and I for me. Thank you. There you go.
That's it. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
Oh, wait. Wait, not yet, not yet. No, come back.
Oh, no.
Not so fast.
That's a fest. So what are we doing here? We know what you're doing, but we're saying it for the public now. And is there anybody here for 18 Halsey Place? No. Okay. Let's just say what you're going to do just for the record. We know, but
Oh, we're just trying to reinstate the accessory apartment that was already existing.
so let me just capsulize. You bought a home that had an apartment. You didn't make any material changes to the apartment.
No, we just updated it
Right.
in the outside property.
And the process in Mount Pleasant is once the home transfers and the new owner takes over, you have to go through the reapplication process.
Correct.
Which is why we're here tonight. So that's correct, right?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions or comments from board members?
And Mr. Chairman, this is fully compliant with the accessory apartment requirements.
Yep, it's fully compliant as well, yep. Any questions or comments from board members? All right, let the record show no comments or questions from board members. If anybody's here for 18 Halsey Place, please raise your hand. And let the record show that nobody raised their hand. So, now, we have two things to do. We need to close the public hearing, and we need to make a decision what we're going to do with the application. So first up, let's make a decision on the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion from Jane,
Second.
second from Eileen. Walter,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Eileen,
Aye.
and then I from me. Okay, now you can go.
Have a good.
And you can
thank
have a good
guys.
holiday.
What, we need
Yeah,
we need to vote on whether we should approve this.
Right.
And I would make a motion that we
Oh, did I miss
approve
that?
the
I'll make
accessory apartment.
I know. Okay, hold on one second. I missed one step.
This is the last one. So I make a motion that we approve the application for an accessory apartment.
Motion from Eileen,
Second.
second from Steve. I'm hearing two at the same time. I'm taking a guess. Walt,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Eileen,
Aye.
and an I from me.
Now you're
There you
good.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you. All right, so that's it for the public hearings. What's next is what's called a continuing application. We want the public to stay, but this is really more, the next application is a little bit different. It's an application getting ready for a public hearing. So proposed 273 Lakeview Avenue, Kensico Cemetery, habitat restoration and the development of recreational pathway for cemetery visitors within an approximate 5-acre portion of the Kensico Cemetery parcel. Application is wetlands number W24-04, location 273 Lakeview Avenue, Valley, New York, Kensico Cemetery. Section block lot number is 117.18-1-1, zone R40, owner Kensico Cemetery, applicant Matthew Parisi, engineer Wetlands Studies and Solutions Incorporated.
Good evening.
And this one, by the way, I think you were here, I don't know, 9 months ago
Been a while.
or so, a year ago, roughly? 2 years? Maybe, okay. I know things go by fast, Steve.
And Mr. Chairman, just while they're gearing up, as you know, Kellen, our weather consultant, is here tonight.
Oh, welcome, Kellen. Did you know that we're all wearing maroon tonight? If you can't get it on the screen, we can do the old-fashioned method and just talk to it too, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I can talk you through the screen, but
Yeah.
before we get the screen, helps things going on. You want me to get started? while we-
Yeah, that's it. It's okay.
Hi, I'm Damien Holinsky from Davie Resource Group, also W Society's engineering team that put this together. I'm here representing Kensico Cemetery. We were here a little while back. We initially submitted this application in May 2024, did a public hearing.
It's been that long, huh?
And then it was sort of on delay while the town was looking for a wetland consultant. That sort of paused it for a while.
Yep.
So just a background reminder of the project. If we can get it up, I will. If not, I'll talk through. It's 5 acres of restoration that the cemetery is proposing on its site. There we go. Awesome. So it's 5 acres restoration. I'll sit this way and talk to you. Within a wooded area that's a wetland site as well, right next to kind of in the middle. It's purely voluntary. The site was it had lots of invasives encroached throughout it. It's degraded, and the cemetery wants to restore it as a natural native habitat community, and also make it an amenity for the public that is already walking through the cemetery, walking trails, kiosks, and a little wetland boardwalk. So that's the essence of why we're here, because of the paths and the boardwalk are within wetlands, and the township wetland ordinances that we want to comply with. There we go. You can see there's a stream running through it. Back in 2024, we did a habitat community assessment to understand what the conditions were pre-existing. It has wetlands in the middle. It's a combination of hardwood swamp, maple swamp. There's invasives all throughout historically. So Japanese knotweed, multiflora rose, Phragmites. Over the past couple of years, the cemetery, we've been treating invasives to try to reduce the invasives and bring back the native community. As part of the restoration project, that's the first step. That didn't require any regulatory oversight. It just completed to do that work. But that has been done already. And we've had great success. You can see on the left-hand side, that's an area full of Phragmites australis, which is a common reed. You see it around. It takes over the entire wetland area. It's monoculture. Very few species use it. It's not native. After a couple years of treatment, you can see it's fully restored. Visibility is much nicer. There's native plants already growing to some degree, and it's on path to that treatment. Again, knotweed was growing on the edges. You can see it's getting cleared out, and it's doing much better. Just kind of give you a sense of what the cemetery is doing already, and then I'll go through what we want to do as part of the project as well. And another area of Phragmites, and now it's wide open, and there's skunk cabbage in the early spring growing there. This is the plan. So you can see the white areas are mulch paths going through the wooded areas that will be restored. There's a wooded area, forest on the left-hand side, and then toward the middle, you can see there's a little boardwalk. There's another one if I kind of show you. So the wooded area is here, right?
So where is Legion Drive in Commerce Street? If you just orient me a little bit better.
Sure, Ossipee Avenue. Let me go back. I'll give you this mic. Or, you know what? No, it won't be on here. That might be able to answer that Legion Drive question better than I can. But here's the cemetery. Matt, this question, where was Legion Drive relative to our site? So,
Yeah, come on up.
yeah, that's right. So,
Up in this area here is where Legion Drive is.
Gotcha.
We've got Commerce Street runs through and Lakeview Avenue runs from
On the other side.
I don't know if you know where the Kensico Tower is.
I know it
across
well.
from the
Yep.
community college. That's at this point here.
Okay.
And then so you come down.
So you're near the pond then?
Mhm.
You're near the.
Enough to point to it. So it's somewhat in the center-ish of the.
And you're near the pond in the middle.
it's just at the pond flows into a stream.
Yeah.
It goes through that woodland area.
Gotcha.
So we're
I know where you are, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking the question. Apologies for clarifying that earlier. So kind of just a sense of what we're doing, proposing. So the white paths or mulch paths, right through the middle, through the forested area. Over here is an emergent wetland area, meaning it's sort of low-lying vegetation, grasses, that kind of thing. That is, the stream runs right through it, and that's the area you want to put in a boardwalk. That's very low profile, small timber piles, all done by hand. The idea is to have the public be able to immerse in the wetlands. And right in there, it's low, and then it kind of rises up on the side, so it's a really nice spot. That's a place of respite and a very great way to kind of see the wetlands from a perspective most people don't, because you'd be right in the middle of it. And then, in addition, there's two small bridges you want to place, prefab, very low impact, as well as the cemetery proposed to put signage, interpretive signage at all corners, 4 places to inform the public that walk through what happened there, what the restoration was, what they're seeing, to kind of education as well. As I mentioned already, a lot of invasive species treatment is happening, so that is going to be completed and almost done. There's also a whole suite of native plantings that will happen once the invasive species treatment is completed. We're pretty much done, so we're ready to plant those species. So native trees, native meadows, native forest, whatever the grouping area is appropriate for that site, that's the planting palette. Kind of talking about the walking trails, a section showing that. You know, bridges, the boardwalk is low by hand, so very low impact as well. The only area where there's any kind of earthwork, not earthwork, but construction equipment that really has to come in is, I'll bring this in so it's easier to see. There's a small area of stone wall they want to fix. So if you look at that image, I don't have it right here, but essentially just this. So this stone wall needs a little bit of fixing. So this is the only spot where any kind of equipment, yellow iron, have to go in, try to move some stones.
Will it have to go through the wetland to get to that area?
No,
Okay.
no. All the access can happen from Lakeside Drive.
Okay.
So we can go right from here. So we can stay completely out of the wetlands. There won't be any impacts from the equipment. And then one of the questions that came up, there's a series of comments that the consultant came, the engineer had about the project, and one of the questions was, is there any mitigation that's going to be required as part of this project? So we already have an Army Corps. So this project required an Army Corps permit, so that's been approved, a nationwide permit. When we first submitted this project, the New York State did not regulate this particular wetland of its size. In January of this year, they changed the jurisdiction a little bit, right? So we're in the process of submitting a JD, jurisdiction determination request, asking whether or not this wetland is going to be required, regulated, and permits going to be required. So that's in process. One of the comments is asking, do we need mitigation for it? The impacts, the Corps doesn't require any kind of mitigation for impacts under 1/10 of an acre. So that's what we make sure was low enough. All the impacts in the entire site is 0.07 acres. Typically, if mitigation occurs, you can do different types of mitigation. You can do reestablishment, so you restore a wetland that was non-existent and bring it back at a 2-to-1 ratio. Another way to do it is enhancement. So a degraded wetland, which is not functioning properly, which is this kind of wetland, the mitigation is 3-to-1, so you have to restore 3 times, or enhance 3 times that wetland. I bring this up just as an example, right? So this particular project, the impacts are 0.07. Wetland enhancement mitigation requirements for this kind of project at the, potentially at the state level would be 0.231 acres. We're enhancing almost 3.2 acres as part of the project. So the overall functional ecological uplift that this project is proposing is way above and beyond the minimal impacts that would occur from the trails and the boardwalk. And that's where the impacts are coming from. Technically, mulch, even just mulch, a mulch is a fill of wetlands, and then the boardwalk is a slight impact as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, and this is in the center of the property, and there's gates there, so obviously after 4, people are not going there, right?
Absolutely. It's same cemetery hours. There'd be no change in terms of access to what it is now. So
And it never could become cemetery itself. Is that correct? Meaning,
No, it's, it's wetlands already, so I think there would be no ability to, but I think.
Are you asking if burial would occur in this area?
Correct.
There's not. There's wetlands there.
Yeah.
It's not a suitable location for burial, even with these enhancements. And we're designing it to provide an area for
And thank you for saying that, but I ask it only because you'd be surprised what people try to build on, or not build, or do things with, so, I mean, I see our CC chairman laughing, we've seen plenty of things before, and I would not be surprised if a cemetery did do that at some point, but I don't think you are going to, so don't worry about that. I know it well. I know it well. You do a beautiful job maintaining the landscape as well. So, okay. Anything else?
Oh, there was another question in the comments of what our timeline was.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, the timeline would be to start doing the trails in the spring, winter, spring, do construction of the stone wall this spring, planting spring, fall. So we would like to do this next year.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's it.
Okay. Any questions or comments from board members?
I don't have a question about the wetland impact. I have a question for the cemetery director. This seems like a lot of work, and do people walk around the cemetery? Like, why are you doing this, I guess?
Oh, yes.
First of all, yes, it is a lot of work. We actually
come up to the microphone.
Oh, okay. So I'm Matt Parisi, I'm the CEO, president of Catskill Cemetery. It is a lot of work. We've kind of put a lot of work into it already. We actually had goats there for the first 3 years. You can rent goats
I remember
actually,
that, yeah.
and they eat the invasive species, so we did that before we did the pesticides. We've recently become a level 2 certified arboretum, so we have a commitment to enhancing the nature and the aesthetic of the cemetery. We are open for visitors, not only lot owners, but also for the general public. We have a number of people from this area that come through the cemetery and walk, particularly evenings. So it's a nice place for that. We have a 5K. I'll invite you next year if you'd like to run or come for a walk.
I'll start training.
But yeah, so we are trying to invite the public even more onto the cemetery grounds, and this is part of that effort.
And don't you also have the walking tours?
Yes, so we have, in the spring, we do walking tours. There's several different ones. There's sort of a public figures tour. There's also architectural tours because there's a lot of mausoleums that are really fascinating structures on the grounds. And then we do tree tours as part of our Arboretum certification. You have to provide tours for that. We have 100 different species of trees that we have listed on our maps. And so we are through that, and we're actually making some efforts through social media to get more and more people onto the grounds. We feel like we're kind of a hidden jewel in this area, and we want to invite people on the grounds more. And the lot owners have been supportive of that. I think they like it, and it really is. You mentioned it's a beautiful place, and it's a nice place to come.
I've seen the goats.
Yeah, did you?
On my
Yeah.
own walking tours of the
Okay,
cemetery.
right.
So they were quite endearing.
Yes, yeah. So
Well,
yeah,
thank
so-
you.
so
Thank you
that's-
for that answer. I had no idea.
Okay.
Okay,
All right,
thanks.
thank you.
Okay. Anything else from board members? Okay, let the record show there's nothing else from board members. I know we have the CSE. Let me just do a couple
Why don't you, Kellen first?
couple things here. Oh, Mr. Stephen Cavey.
Listen,
No.
get
Oh,
Kellen first.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Steve, we'll get to you.
Yeah.
I never forget you. If I do, it's not by intent.
Chairman, board members.
Yeah.
Do any of you have any questions for me about this?
No, what's your thoughts on it?
So I think that the biggest concern of mine is the DEC permit. I know you can do a JD consultant option. Hopefully that would be a quicker. I don't know when you submitted your JD.
It's in process right now.
It's yeah. And so I know it takes a little while. It depends on which process you take with the DEC. It's a new process with them, and things take a little bit longer. But that would be my biggest concern with this project. I think most of the other the applicants answered most of the other questions I had, and I think that maybe some conditions could be put on this if once the DEC permit.
And you can provide that at some point. Your thoughts, I would assume.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I think that's it, unless you have any questions.
So we can expect a letter from you with recommended conditions of approval?
Yes.
Or it will be conveyed to Pat so that he could include it in any resolution?
Kellen, most of those conditions are construction related, like methods and means of how they would do the work, I think. Is that fair?
Exactly. I know I had some questions about tree root systems and protection there, and just I know that the wall is really the biggest where the most construction is happening, And that wall's probably been there for, I don't know how many years, does anyone know? Maybe 50, 25 years? Yeah, so that, you know, I don't know what is around that wall, if there's any trees that are nearby. I just want to make sure that those are protected. And then, you know, plantings, making sure those go in and in a certain method in this way. So, and on schedule. And so I know they've been waiting a long time to get to this point. So, you know, I think that they've done a pretty good job on answering all the questions that I had.
Yeah, and I know it's a very thought-provoking application, and I appreciate the opportunity to review it. So,
Mr. Chairman, what we would typically do in a situation like this is a post-installation monitoring, so 6 months or a year after, Kellen and the applicants would go out and Steve
Yep.
make sure everything is operating the way it's supposed to operate.
yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Stephen Cavey from the CAC, Conservation Advisory Committee, for those who don't know.
We'll step back, so I'll feel him hovering.
Stephen Cavey, Conservation Advisory Council Chair. First of all, I want to say that this is Cemetery Town, and it's a tremendous amenity that the town has, all this open space, and to see one of these properties turned into a way of creating and restoring wetlands and creating natural resource protection and enhancement, I think is a really positive thing. So and I was wrong, it wasn't 2 years, it seemed like 2 years, it was 6 seasons is what it is. But in any case, we just had a few notes. I did speak to Kellen. I didn't realize that was Kellen because we only spoke, we haven't met. And I think the wetlands consultant did a very good job in going through the details that would be concerns raised by the CAC. We had a letter early on in this process that I'll send again just for review that had some key elements and some key points that we were concerned about, but they seem to be mostly addressed. But let me just summarize some very quick things here. One of the things I just want to be clear about is that when we draft this resolution, that it's done in a way that it doesn't, that prevents any future wetlands development from turning into some sort of a monetized amenity. So I want to be clear that this is a boardwalk that's designed for public free use and free access, and we don't want to create some sort of systematic process for turning wetlands into, for want of a better word, an amusement park or something like that. So this is a passive recreation use for the boardwalk, and I think it's important that the resolution is drafted in a fashion so that we prevent any further, any future development from going on in wetlands in a way that isn't carefully monitored and done in the fashion that this is being done. And the open space and public access is part of that. So, and the other thing is, Kellen addressed this, and I looked over some of the comments. There apparently is use of mechanical equipment being planned, I believe, at some point or another, and when I reviewed the notes, and that is a bit of a concern. Kellen will address it, I'm sure, but there's best practices, and our friends from the New York City DEP are here, and I know that they do use mechanical equipment periodically in some of their wetlands buffer work, and they have some best practices that prevent and eliminate any chance of pollution or destruction. The other quick thing I had was the material that's being used for the boardwalk. I just want to be clear that it's some sort of inert material that doesn't have any leaching into the wetlands. I wasn't clear about that, so we can have a discussion about it. And again, we want to make sure that this is completely neutral material that doesn't create any contamination. I did have some concerns about pesticides. Pesticides were being used in order to manage the invasives. There's very little you can do about invasives without some use of pesticides, but there are different methods and measures that can be done so that they're really minimized, and how they're going to be done and used in the future in order to prevent the return of the invasives is something that we want to explore and understand more fully. Give me a second, I just want to look at my notes here. That's pretty much it. The invasive management in the ongoing process is one of the things that we are concerned about, and how that's going to be done over the years, and how much pesticide use is going to be done, or whether it's going to be done by hand. It's an issue. Invasives the reason they're called invasives is because they are strong invasives and they are very hard to manage. It's an ongoing process, and there are a number of large preserves that have a real difficulty managing invasives. So this is a relatively smaller parcel, so I think it is manageable, but we want to know how it's going to be done over the years.
No, and thank you for your work on this one. I know I see enthusiasm with your participation on this one, so I'd like to see that as well.
Yeah, well, you know, again, Mr. Chairman, I want to underscore something, and that's that we do have a tremendous amount of cemeteries. It's a tremendous amount of open space. We've seen a number of applications come before the planning board and that have been reviewed by the CAC. We've had to do some very strong comments on how some of these applications are going forward, and we've always encouraged the use of native plants in some of these landscaping schemes. But I've never seen anything on this scale where we didn't initiate it at all. It was initiated by the applicant, and I think it's a very positive step.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out and all that you do. Okay, so we have this application. We heard from town staff we are pretty good to go.
Yes. The next step would be scheduling a public hearing on this, Mr. Chairman.
So, okay, so there we go. That's the question then is, are we going to schedule a public hearing for this or not, fellow board members? Do we have a motion or not?
I have a motion to schedule the public hearing.
Motion from Eileen,
I second it.
second from Steve. Walt,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Eileen,
Aye.
and an aye from me. Public hearing is scheduled. It'll be scheduled, I'm assuming, sometime in January, I'm assuming at this point. Okay. Okay, so next one up is another continuing application item.
You're set.
Is 145 Bennick Place, legalizing cut and fill grading of the construction of a concrete retaining wall in excess of 6 feet at rear of portion of property. Application steep slope SS 25-03. Location 145 Bennick Place, Hawthorne, New York. Section block lot number is 111.12-1-11. Zone R10. Owner Michael Stallone. Applicant and engineer Mr. Lukman and Dia Grid Engineering.
Excuse me, I'm not tech savvy.
Looks like neither are we.
Yeah,
What
my
can we do
son
here?
said just plug it in, it should come up. It started to come up, but I have backups printed.
Oh, it's plugged into the power, but I don't know if it's plugged into the TV.
Smart remote. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight. This is your son's fault.
Yes, it is.
Here we go.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. I'm Pete Stallone. I'm here representing my son, Michael.
Yeah.
Who has to works 5 jobs to keep up with things. We are here, hopefully working toward approval to construct a new concrete retaining wall.
Yeah.
We were granted the variance for the additional height, and we're at this point in the process. Engineer did some new drawings representing a 12-inch poured concrete wall, reinforced with rebar, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah, and you've been through, or your son has been through a lot.
Yeah.
Because he bought the house, and then there was a problem with the wall, and then
It's a long haul.
different things were going on. We had a little technical problem.
That's okay.
So, okay. So I think, let me just ask the board if you have any questions or comments on this one.
You had a public hearing in front of the zoning board, correct?
Yes,
Do you know
we
if
were
any of the
approved.
neighbors came out?
I'm sorry?
Did any of the
No,
neighbors
there were
come out?
none present, no.
No? Okay.
No.
I was
we
just
did
wondering
get the
about that
approval
downhill
for-
neighbor, you
I'm
know.
sorry?
I was just concerned about the downhill neighbor looking at the high concrete wall, if they had any problems.
There is no downhill neighbors.
No, there is no down.
It
Oh, that's a
goes
through
right down
lot.
to the road,
It's a
down
through
to
lot, right,
9A.
right.
The
Yeah.
curve.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
so I don't think anyone will ever be there.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from board members? Let the record show there's no additional questions or comments from board members. I've seen the correspondence from town staff. We are also in good shape for this one.
Yes.
If it is the pleasure of the board, we can talk about scheduling a public hearing. What is the thought from the board? Do we schedule a public hearing for this or not?
Yeah, I make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for this.
Motion from Eileen,
Second.
second from Jane. Walt,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Eileen,
Aye.
and an aye from me. Tell your son you did a great job.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank
Have
you.
a wonderful
And tell him
holiday.
everything worked good. We won't talk about the technical snafu at all. We won't tell your son. Okay. Take your time.
Old school.
Don't forget your cord.
No, I think that's ours.
Oh, that's ours? Okay. Then leave the cord. Okay. Next up is a brand new application. They've been here for different shapes, forms, or other applications, but they're back again for DEP KEC contract number 3, 0 Westlake Drive, Kensico. Specific work at the Kensico campus as part of contract 3. I'm not going to read all this. KEC buildings include construction of final post-construction stormwater management practices, modifications to the existing UEC shaft. And there's a whole bunch of stuff there. There's fences and different things going on here. Application site plan PSP 25-11, steep slopes SS 25-16, wetlands number W25-06, location Westlake Drive, Valhalla campus, Kensico campus, section block lot numbers 117.11-3-1, zone R40, owner and applicant, and New York City DP, engineer architect, Ove, Arup, and partners, Hazen and Sawyer.
Good evening. I'm Justin Rivellino with DEP's Bureau of Engineering, Design, and Construction. And yes, we're here tonight for the Contract 3 Kensico work for our Kenzie's 3 contract known as KEC Buildings, our site plan application for that. So as we normally do with these presentations, we'll go through project overview. I'll run through that quickly, and then we'll focus on what entails the KEC Buildings contract over at Kensico. So the KEC Tunnel program is essentially building a connection from Kensico Reservoir to our Cat Dell ultraviolet facility over at Eastview. We have 2 locations where that work is ongoing: the Kensico campus, adjacent to the reservoir, right down the road here, and the Eastview campus, which houses our Cat Dell ultraviolet disinfection facility. It's a multi-year effort with all the contracts involved spanning about 10 years, and this one will be the one that wraps it all up. So why are we doing it is there's an operational need. When we put the Cat Dell online back in 2012 to comply with the EPA's long-term to enhance surface water treatment rule, the Safe Water Drinking Act, we lost the ability, or the pressure rather, to run water through the Cat aqueduct to get to the Cat Dell UB. So what we're doing is essentially restoring that second conduit along with the Delaware to connect the 2 locations. Right now we have limited ability to shut down the Delaware, so it's certainly important to have KEC Tunnel online. We are also part of a Hillview Consent Decree and Judgment, which means it's a federal decree. We have another project, the Hillview Cover, which is also part of this consent decree, so these projects go hand in hand. And it essentially allows us to feed Hillview Reservoir with the KEC Tunnel and ensure that while that construction is going on, that reservoir has the proper water
And
levels.
just for those, 90% of the room knows that Hillview Decree descent, but basically Hillview Decree descent is Yonkers Reservoir is going to be covered.
Yep.
And the water from Valhalla is going to come down there and it's going to go through the ultraviolet, whatever you guys do.
Yes.
Treat it, and it's going to go on the pipes, I'm speaking layman's term, down to Hillview Cemetery in Yonkers, which will then be covered.
You know better than us.
No, I don't.
Yes, so yes, to summarize, and we do have various milestones that we are federally required to hit
Yeah.
Through all of the life cycle for this project, design, construction,
Yeah.
and commissioning. Right, so just rehashing some of the goals and benefits, we do need those two connections. Historically, we've always had to. The Delaware is quite old. It's 85 plus years old at this point, so it would allow us down the line to perform some maintenance that would inevitably happen. We have a connection that we are installing. We will be starting to install it under a contract that's currently underway, but under this contract, we'll finish a town water line over at Kensico to provide water to the town of Mount Pleasant. And this tunnel is sized larger to meet future demands. You know, when we make our projections and see that we need more water to the city, this tunnel will allow us to do that. Right. And this is just another slide that kind of shows the surrounding area that we've considered, you know, in outreach and design and construction now for both campuses and the tunnel itself. So this is our sequence of site plan applications. As mentioned, we've been here a few times before. This one is the one that's boxed out in purple. We actually did go slightly out of sequence. We had our shoreline stabilization site plan application presented to you this past summer. That was the fourth one. So we're jumping back to 3 here. This one is our final one on the slide, and why we're here today to talk about the Kensies 3 contract on its Kensico campus. This was our schedule that we set for ourselves for all of the contracts. Admittedly, we did start late on a couple, but we are certainly hoping not only to catch up on those, but to hit our dates for Kensies 3 as well, which would be at the very end of 2026 to start construction there. You do see 2 bars on this one on your schedule, Gantt chart. That simply is just breaking the project up into the construction phase. That's the longer bar there. And the shorter one in the brighter blue, that is our startup and commissioning. So essentially, as I mentioned, this contract wraps everything up. It also includes the actual startup of KEC and getting it online. Right, and so, you know, of course, our site plan approval and application would cover our steep slopes, our wetlands, and the SWIP that is associated with this work. All right, and just to kind of go over some of the scope in this particular contract on the Kensico side, we're doing some UEC modifications. I know we have a lot of acronyms. That one stands for our upper effluent chamber. It's right on the reservoir, and it's essentially our intake from the reservoir to bring water into the tunnel. So we'll do modifications to that. It's a very old structure. It was sized for flow long ago. We'll now be doing some modifications to increase the capacity that it could take so it could feed the KEC tunnel. We have what's called a UEC shaft, or upper effluent chamber shaft. That's simply done to construct the connection tunnels that will be connecting the UEC to our new screen chamber. We'll do a new police booth over at Kensico campus, which, if you're familiar with our Eastview campus, we have a checkpoint to get in with our security team. It'll look very much similar to that. So we'll have a checkpoint to get into Kensico campus, and the police booth will house our police force. And the new KEC screen chamber will be on site. We'll go over that. We have some renderings. That's our new building that will screen reservoir water coming in of all debris. And as it enters the KEC tunnel, it will introduce chlorine and fluoride to that water as well. And that covers the fourth bullet, our in-kind updates to existing chemical facilities. Simply, we are running some lines from our existing chlorine and fluoride facilities to the screen chamber location to be able to add both of those chemicals to the water.
Yeah.
And so we will have some site work around the upper effluent chamber. As mentioned, we'll make that connection to the town of Mount Pleasant. We have a few trees to remove. I'll go over that in a minute. And we'll complete the connection tunnels. So most of our tunnel work will occur under contract 2 that we went over here. But we will have some completion work for those tunnels over at Kensico at the connection. And then final landscaping for the Kensico site, so it's final conditions, and the startup and commissioning for the KEC tunnel itself. And so this slide highlights where we are covering it's very tiny, I'm sorry, but the very top of the screen there, right on the reservoir, that's the upper effluent chamber. The building in the middle, that's the new screen chamber, and that line running out of it will be the new town of Mount Pleasant connection to a vault over there that will feed the town. And the oval in the center is essentially our new police checkpoint, which includes a police booth, entrance, exit, and we even have a vehicle scanner there to scan any larger vehicles coming in. But I like to mention that even though we're highlighting these particular areas, it really is the whole area, because we will be turning this into its final campus. Most of you are familiar with where that police booth is. That's existing Westlake Drive. We're currently building relocated Westlake Drive, which is that roadway off to the left. Once that is opened and accepted by the town of Mount Pleasant, and opened, we'll close existing Westlake Drive. It'll be a construction entrance while we build the police booth and the checkpoint. And that'll eventually be our main entrance to the DEP campus.
Okay.
And so these are the connection tunnels that I mentioned. In the orange is our UEC connection tunnel. It will be a little bit larger. We are trying to utilize the existing tunnel that's there. Right now, the UEC has one tunnel running from that building to an existing older building that we have there that connects to the Cat Aqueduct. We'll expand that tunnel, run it into the screen chamber. Screen chamber will screen the water, and we'll have what we call the dike grade return tunnel, which is that peach, light orange, smaller tunnel coming out of the screen chamber. And what that'll allow us to do is, in the event of emergency or any type of need to bypass the KEC tunnel, we can still run water through the screen chamber and back into our old Cat Aqueduct. So it gives us some flexibility there. All right, blasting under this contract, while not as much as the other contract, we will need to blast for the two tunnels, the two connection tunnels. Blasting would be controlled and will meet town code, as is always the case for us. We'll have pre-blast surveys, notifications. Blast monitoring, of course. We anticipate up to 3 blasts per day, but it's highly unlikely. So we'll just say that in a best case scenario that could happen, but it's more like 1 or 2. And town and adjacent owners will be notified ahead of time. We certainly work with the town on outreach and making sure we notify anyone who may be impacted. Blasting would be performed with the appropriate methods to mitigate as much of the noise as possible, so blast mats, doors, and that could reduce noise anywhere between 40 to 90%. And so this is just a couple of renderings we wanted to show, especially if you're the public, what you would see. This is on Columbus Avenue. You're looking at what is now existing Westlake Drive, what will be eventually our police booth and DEP checkpoint. We called out 2 buildings here that are important to note for our contract. The DEP police booth, as we've mentioned, that will be the first building you will essentially see. It's in the foreground. It's the closest to Columbus Avenue. And then in the background there, probably the furthest building back from Columbus Avenue, not counting the UEC, will be the screen chamber. It's essentially going to be between 2 existing structures that we have there. What's going to be our Kensico Regional Headquarters and what's our existing lower effluent chamber. They're there. Screen chamber will be in the middle, just pushed slightly further back.
Hey, Justin, while you're on this slide,
yeah,
will there be a gate at the police booth or further closer to Columbus?
There'll be an opening similar to that, but As you start to turn in, we have those vehicle arresting devices, the VADs, I
Yeah.
forget what they stand for, but
How
they'll be
far
up.
in? So my concern is people will still think of that as Westlake Drive and make the turn inadvertently before they realize they're in the wrong spot and turn around.
Yeah.
Is there enough room for them to make that maneuver?
There will be a turnaround. So I like to compare this to our Eastview campus where it is pretty open.
Yeah.
You can turn in it, but accidentally. And then they would just turn you around. Yeah, so it'll be set up similar to that. Right, and then for our upper effluent chamber site work, the structure that's right on the building there, the access road to that UEC will be widened to what it currently stands. We do have a wall towards the back there, right near the roadway, that 19-foot high wall that we point out. A new duct bank to the electrical building. We've talked about this in past applications. We currently have constructed, you can see it now, the electrical building on Kensico campus. It's going to feed all of our facilities, so that will include the UEC as well. And then work will require a wetland permit, steep slope, and floodplain development because we are right on the reservoir. Tree removal. So this is just basically breaking out the total number that we've presented in the past in terms of trees that are to be removed over at Kensico. For this contract in particular, there's 65 trees to be removed, mainly for our utility work along the roadways. So we've highlighted the two areas where tree removal will occur. One is up close to where existing Westlake Drive bends. There'll be 33 trees there. And towards the bottom on West Westlake Drive, we have 32. In terms of construction wastewater, essentially any water that is coming in while we do construction, that's really from groundwater infiltration from connection tunnels KEC Shaft 1C, which will have been constructed by then, but we still may need to do some dewatering from there. And the excavation of the KEC screen chamber itself. As we build that screen chamber, we're certainly going to want to keep that dry. Wastewater treatment systems, they will be there. This contract will use them. It will remove solids prior to discharge. And all of that treated water will be pumped to an existing stormwater manhole with a discharge outfall to Clove Brook. We do need to abide by the Speedies permit and DEC. So of course we're going to be monitoring that very closely and making sure we meet all of those parameters that DEC requires us to meet before discharging. And just highlighting the town of Mount Pleasant water connection. I imagine some would be interested. We're connecting a new 24-inch raw water pipe upstream of the existing town of Mount Pleasant meter vault that is running straight from our screen chamber. And benefit is a new connection for use by the town of Mount Pleasant. So
what is that? That's interesting, because that's one topic I keep hearing. How does Mount Pleasant benefit? This is the first time I've heard some potential benefit. What does that actually do for Mount Pleasant?
It includes you in our new connection as well. So the city of New York is getting a new run from Kensico Reservoir to ensure enhancement in the water supply system. The town of Mount Pleasant is included in that as well. So our new screen chamber that's bringing in all this water, screening all of that, will be bringing that raw water straight to the town of Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
And those are the final conditions, similar to what we showed a few slides ago when we highlighted some of those structures, but just noting that there will be some new ponds on campus. All of the plantings will be in this contract, various meadow mixes, trees, especially along the what's now the Delaware and Catskill aerators, and reforestation along those areas as well. So just to kind of highlight the paving and landscape aspect of this, we'll mill and repave all roadways within Kensico campus, but the final landscaping, we have areas for tree planting that have been maximized. We consider facility operations, security, and utility setbacks requirements. Of course, we've talked with our security personnel. They want to make sure they have a line of sight of all our buildings. Working around that, we've set up areas that are good for plantings and adding tree locations to that. Mowed turf will be kept to a minimum. That's really just adjacent to the perimeter fence. We'll really let vegetation grow. And the native perennial mixes are used for all other areas. We've had a lot of input from our forestry division and our natural resource division, so we've selected carefully what plantings and vegetation will be used for this. And those detention ponds are provided with a mix of upland and wetland native species. Variances, so the screen chamber, we understand there's a maximum height of 35 feet within the town. The proposed height of this screen chamber is 70 feet at its peak, but 67 foot on average if we include the main building. Best way to describe the screen chamber is it has a main section to it flanked by two smaller annexes, what we like to call them. So if you include those annexes, it's 56 feet on average. And for comparison, if you're familiar with our Shaft 18 facility, which is right on the reservoir there, pretty close to Columbus Avenue, that's about 62.5 feet high, and that's the intake for the existing Delaware Aqueduct. So pretty comparable to that. And the permanent perimeter fence for this Kensico campus, we've worked closely with our security team, and even though we understand there's a maximum height of 6 feet, we are proposing to install an 8-foot fence on 6-inch concrete apron. We know there's some wildlife that passes through this campus, so we do have transit gaps, which are 9 inches by 6 inches high, and they are every 100 feet along that fence line.
So those are some of the specific questions from Pat, so it was good you brought it up tonight, but can you just document that and respond to Pat with those?
Yep.
And that would just dot that I and cross that T.
Sounds good. And I think with that, I ran through a presentation.
You also need height variances for the retaining walls, is that right?
That's one thing we were looking at as well, that retaining wall there, Pat.
And that's the one thing that perhaps we can avoid that if you separate them and and do them in segments, is it instead of a single tall wall? So that's something you may want to think about and
Okay.
avoid the variance by doing that.
That's good advice. We'll certainly look into that. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, there's, Pat's correspondence have those questions detailed on them, so, because we'll have to get those answered before, as we prepare for the public hearing, if it does happen.
Okay.
Far away from the mic, I realized. The big thing, obviously, is going to be noise. You've heard that before, so we need to be prepared for those questions. I'm sure you know that. And obviously, I think the other thing we need to be prepared for is the mountain, we were calling it. The question comes up every time when the public comes here, what are we going to do with that? So we've reviewed it, we've had conversations on it. I know what the long-term plan is for that, but the scuttlebutt is it's unsightly. And I think you've heard that before. So I just ask you, as you prepare for public hearing, I know it doesn't have anything to do with this particular work, but it's on the site, so it'll come up. Anything else from board members?
I was just wondering, have you started tunnel excavation yet?
The contract has started. The actual excavation work for the tunnel and shafts itself has not started. So we expect here at the Kensico side to begin the shaft excavation hopefully sometime in February. And that's when we'll start to sink the shafts. Eastview won't be long after that, maybe another few months of late spring, early summer. And then once we get those shafts excavated, we can bring in tunnel boring machine and start the tunnel excavation itself.
Also, your environmental assessment form identifies your hours of operation from, I think, 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. And that,
Kensico, yes.
yeah. So that's not consistent with the regulations of the town for hours of construction. Has there been a waiver for that? And will the neighbors hear it? Like, I'm asking about the tunnels because I'm thinking, is that going to be loud? And will they be hearing that at 11 o'clock at night?
Right. So we've worked closely with the town and town building inspector to go over just that and discuss, what would be acceptable in terms of those hours of operation. We're setting up noise monitoring around the entire perimeter of Kensico campus. We're making sure that we're looking at those numbers closely. And when we begin the excavation work, that's when the town will have representation to be there on site and see just how much noise we generate.
Yeah, I have no idea if it's a lot of noise. When you're 450
Right.
feet down, I don't imagine there'll be a lot of noise, but
Yes. Yeah, the surface We
getting there.
understand.
Yeah.
And we're going to, we already are looking at ways to mitigate the noise at the surface even further than what we have in the contract. So any additional barriers that we could possibly put up, anything else that can dampen the noise even a little bit, we certainly are interested in doing. So we're going to do that in the early stages. Of course, it's going to be like a let's see if this works, if we need to add anything additional, and kind of work our way on from there. So you're right. You know, it's going to be the surface where we need to look at the most, and as we get deeper and deeper, it'll be less of a concern.
Okay.
And I think there's an extensive protocol for equipment on the site and truck bells and all of that stuff that's already in place. It relates to different types of equipment that's being used on the property as well. So the building department's already on top of that, but this is going to be above and beyond and some additional work. So
Yeah,
it
in
needs to be
addition to the drilling, I'm thinking of, you know, backing up, beeping, you know, when I'm trying to go to
Yes.
sleep or, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, no, our words cross. Continue.
No, I was just going to say, we also care very much about noise complaints. We're keeping a noise complaint log ourselves, which have minimal complaints to date, but of course we want to make sure that we're tracking all those and we've addressed them. And if there's anything occurring, we want to know about that.
The unique aspects to this, obviously, the drilling in the tunnel, that's unusual. But the conveyor at Eastview, once the muck comes up and goes onto the conveyor, we don't have any precedent for understanding those impacts. So there's a lot of ongoing figuring it out with respect to those things. But the truck backing up, those are the things we understand and have already addressed throughout the course of the work that's already being done.
Okay.
So I thought, I'm not close enough to the conversation or the site. So the mountain that's already there, that's what? Where did that come from?
The other mountain.
The other mountain,
No.
right?
Well, the mountains at Kensico you're referring to,
All the soil that's there now.
The stockpile
that's
is.
from
Yeah.
that's from our excavation of the screen chamber that we've already started, and some of the other grading that we're doing around the site.
So this additional excavation we're doing, where is all that soil going?
So the excavation work at Eastview, we are taking that off site. That is going to approved locations for hopefully beneficial reuse for the most part, but we're working out with the contractor. So the existing mountain at Eastview, that's been, I think, about 2/3 removed. We're going to remove the rest of that under the contract that's currently ongoing now. And then the muck conveyor that Pat was mentioning, that will...
At Eastview.
At Eastview. That will leave about 100,000 cubic yards of muck at any time. Muck is anything excavated from the tunnel. It doesn't mean anything gross or anything like that. It's usually rock and broken up soil. That constantly gets trucked out, so it'll never exceed, or I think we don't have it in our contract to exceed
So,
100,000.
And Jim, just what you're remembering is when Eastview was done, all of that, the mountain at Eastview was at that time supposed to fill in the areas of Kensico. That plan has sort of changed over the years, and that's what we've been seeing, you know, the modifications to the plan. So you may be remembering that.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that mountain's not getting bigger.
Yeah.
No. We actually need that area for staging for the work we're doing now. So
Okay.
there's a benefit to us getting that out of there and getting our contractor set up there.
Okay.
They're currently doing.
Okay, thank you.
And if you remember, Jim, I think when they were last before us, there was some comments about, you know, there were vehicles and trucks on top of that hill, and it was made it even more visibly offensive. You raised that concern, they went away. So
Yep.
I'll say the DEP's been very cooperative in dealing with issues as they've arisen, but they're arising all the time. So it's the kind of thing we and the DEP both have to stay on top of every day.
Yeah, and these are the common questions I think we're going to get. And even though it's not really connected 100% to the specific work we're doing for this, your DEP, so it's going to come to you. So as you know. So, okay. Any other questions or comments from board members?
I did read about the final grading. I'd like to see, you know, what levels, how close is it going back to what it was as far as final grade and fencing? Visibility, transparency, everything else, or is this going to be high security?
For the Kensico campus, it's going to be high security, yes. So the fencing and the perimeter that we're putting around it, it's going to be to keep out non-DEP personnel. So similar to Eastview, it's why we're building a relocated Westlake Drive so that the public still has that roadway, and then that existing Westlake Drive will then be closed off and used for DEP campus. So anything within there, you would need clearance to get past that police booth and go inside. And yes, so the renderings that we showed, those aerators that are now filled in, that's where the plantings are going to be, the various mixes and the reforestation that we're doing there. So, you know, they'll more or less look like that. I think we've shown some other renderings in the past from ground level, but in fact, I can go back to that screen shot. Give you a better idea.
I mean, previous it was a fairly transparent fence. It didn't, you know, look like a prison.
Right.
This is really right in the center of town. You pass through this thing. It's high visibility.
Yes.
So I think people are going to want to see it go back to as close as existing.
And you know, our goal is certainly to bring back that forestation look. And when I talked with our forestry group, you know, the reason we selected a lot of these vegetation mixes too is to bring back the wildlife that was there as well. So we're looking to do that along with what we're proposing here.
And Steve, you get a picture of what the future fence will look like in that bottom?
In the landscaping.
Yeah, so that will be, and then there'll be landscaping behind that. So it's not like it will look today with that black barrier there. It'll be more open and more transparent.
That's what I was wondering too.
But
Yeah,
it is a high
how much of it is going to
security
be?
site, No doubt.
Hi, my name's Arnie Farrath. I work for DEP, Bureau of Engineering, Design, and Construction. Just want to add, I mean, it is going to be. It's not. We're not returning it to the original elevation, so we will have as they are the mounds now. But we are going to reduce, and during the current project and other projects, we are reducing the slope of the mounds, but there will be vegetation on it and planting, so it won't look as
Capped landfill.
Yes, exactly. So the goal is to, you know, kind of have it, you know, the site landscape so it looks like a landscaped area.
How far off is it until it starts to look like this? Is this years away?
Yeah, years away. Yeah, we're in the process. I mean, it's going to be done at the end of this contract, but that means, you know, we have to finish the tunnel, the screen chamber, all this work that we talked about. Then the final thing is to do
So
the
this is
landscaping. But
like
we are,
the last thing in like the 10-year plan, really.
yeah, pretty much.
That's icing on the
It
cake.
essentially
Eight to
has
10.
to be so that, you know.
I understand.
So you guys mentioned needing a variance for the building height. When do you anticipate getting this variance so you stay on schedule for fourth quarter 2026?
Yeah, I think the goal is, you know, as soon as we can. So we went to the zoning board for the building over at Eastview, the Eastview Connection Chamber, last month, and we received the variance for that. So yes, the next step is now to go for the screen chamber and the fencing. If we have to, we'll go for the wall as well. And you
And
know,
Walter,
get the-
you'll make the referral, so it's kind of up to you when you send it to us.
Okay. One other question. Do you get federal funding for this work from EPA or?
They get sued by the federal government. They don't get
Are
funded.
they
Yeah,
giving
don't
you?
do the work. We're gonna get fined, but we get state revolving fund monies, so that's really you know it's mostly city funded, but we do get state revolving funds that a lot of you know municipalities and states get for drinking water projects.
Well, the EPA, they don't have like a construction grants program that maybe contributes 75% or some percentage to the constructions of these consent decree projects?
No, I mean the city used to have, you know, when we built all our wastewater plants, we were able to build them all up, you know many years ago because we got all that funding. But no, now we don't get it. We're very much self-funded. That's why, you know, we're working on our budgets all the time. So unfortunately, it would be great if we did. If they enacted those programs, it would help. But no, we don't get it. Like I know transportation, you hear that all in the news. They get all kinds of funding. We really don't, as far as.
But at the same time, sometimes that funding is in jeopardy. Federal funding.
Correct. Right.
Depending on which way the wind is blowing.
Correct. So we're not subject to that in some ways because we self-fund it. But you know, it's, you know, we're trying to balance because there are a lot of needs within both the drinking water part, wastewater part, stormwater. So the city is trying to manage all those needs.
Okay, anything else? So I know Pat had a couple questions or clarifications he needs. I think we need those clarified by the time the public hearing occurs.
Yep.
Which I'm sure you'll do.
Yep, and I think Dave might have comments on this as well.
Right.
And at that point, when those answers, when those issues are addressed, you can schedule the public
Yep.
hearing, you can consider the referral to the zoning board.
Yep. Okay, that's it for tonight then. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it?
We're good to go.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Motion from Jean.
Second.
Got fast words over here. Second from Eileen. Walter.
Aye.
Jean. Steve.
Aye.
Eileen.
Aye.
And I from